Well, I guess it's good afternoon now, isn't it? It's past 12. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jacqui Owen, and I'm the Relationship Manager at the College of Law, and thanks for having us at UQ today, even if it is virtually. Joining me today is my colleague, Anita Hall, who some of you would have met in previous workshops. And Anita has been a lecturer at the College of Law, Queensland for many years now. And previous to that, she was a lawyer for a couple of different firms in Brisbane as well. So she brings lots of experience and has taught many groups of PLT, and she's here today to show you what our system looks like, show you all the resources that we have, explain how our assessment works, and talk about the differences between PLT and university as well. Really keen for this to be interactive, so please make sure that you're popping questions in the chat box as we go along, or if you're watching this later and you think of a question, please email me or set up a time to chat further, and I'd love to have a conversation with you. At the moment, we are running in a slightly different environment, of course, with the COVID-19 situation still happening. Even though we are flattening the curve, we are running our PLT completely online. So today I'll be talking about what PLT is like right now at the minute, and also what it is like normally. So some of you might be coming to us June, July this year, so you'll be coming in under the COVID-19 on-site week situation, but some of you might not be with us for another year and a half. So you'll hopefully, let's fingers crossed, we'll be back to life as normal by then. So you'll be coming into the College of Law to do your workshop Lawyer Skills Week. So we'll talk about both situations, and we'll see how they relate to you. So it's going to move my picture boxes around, try and get to the next screen. Okay, so from Monday the 23rd of March, which seems like an eternity ago, we have been delivering all of our PLTs entirely online. So before COVID-19, our practical legal training is an online course anyway. So our full-time course is 15 weeks and our part-time course is 30 weeks. And both groups, full-time and part-time, will do their first week, and we call this the Lawyers Skills Week, or our on-site week, because it's literally on-site at the College of Law, usually from Monday to Friday, full-time. So that's a week of interactive, engaging workshops where you participate in activities, and Anita will probably give you a little bit more information about that when she talks. But that full week is usually done face-to-face, with the remainder of the course online. So the full-timers will do the remaining 14 weeks all online, and the part-timers will do the remaining 29 weeks all online. However, at the moment, we are running that Lawyer Skills Week virtually as well. So you still come to workshops and interact with your lecturer and the rest of the class, but it's all very much in this sort of situation where we look like the Brady Bunch, all up on screens. So we'll show you what that looks like as well. But that's what's happening at the moment. So what will happen for you will depend on when you're looking to do PLT. So PLT itself, hopefully no one is getting a shock that with just a law degree from UQ, you'll be considered a lawyer. You actually need to be admitted as a practitioner before you can call yourself a lawyer or a solicitor. And in fact, you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble if you just have your law degree and haven't done PLT and haven't gone through the admissions process, and you start calling yourself a lawyer or a solicitor. There's also no such thing as a graduate lawyer or a graduate solicitor. A law graduate is someone with just a law degree, and a solicitor or a lawyer is someone who also has done PLT and is admitted as a practitioner. So you can't actually be both. Those things don't go together. So to be admitted, you of course need your law degree, and hopefully some of you are nearly there or will be there by the end of the year. You also then need your graduate diploma of legal practice, which is the qualification that the College of Law gives you through our practical legal training course. You will then take your completion certificate and your law degree and go through all the steps with the Queensland Legal Practitioners Admissions Board and then apply for admission, have an admission ceremony, and then be admitted to the court, obtain your practicing certificate, and that's when you can call yourself a lawyer or a solicitor. To maintain that practicing certificate, you do need to do a component of annual continuing professional development every year, and that's regulated by the Queensland Law Society. Excuse me. So you'll do a certain number of hours, obtain a certain number of points every year, and pay also for your new certificate every year. All right, so what's practical legal training? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's taking the academic training that you have, so learning about the law from UQ, and on top of that, building your practical skills. So when you put those two together, that means hopefully you'll come out the other side as a lawyer who knows what they're doing, I guess. So that'll give you all the skills to be able to go out there as a newly admitted lawyer and to practice your craft. So it builds on your academic training, but it's all those practical skills. So you will be on your feet doing the advocacy workshop. We'll be doing some mediation skills with you, and we'll and Anita will unpack that a little bit further. But it's all those practical skills. And what lots of students say to us, usually especially around the Thursday, towards the end of the week, this is when we're back in the office, of course, they're saying, wow, that's what I was waiting for. This is me on my feet, actually getting to practice being a lawyer rather than learning the academic theory of the law. And they really enjoy it, and they can see themselves actually being able to go out there once admitted and practice as a lawyer. It is a requirement for admission in all Australian states. It's not just a funny thing that that Queensland does. And actually our course is essentially the same across Australia. So if you do end up moving interstate down the track, if a job opportunity comes your way, or you're just after a different state that you want to experience, then you will be able to take your Queensland qualifications and be admitted in that other state. And you'll be sitting alongside lawyers that have essentially done the same training, done the same College of Law course as you. They've just done it in that state rather than in Queensland. It's very much preparing you for practice. It's the start of your legal career. So I encourage you to not just treat it as a tick box exercise, but give it the same love and attention and time and commitment that you've given your law degrees. And I think we were talking about this with another group the other day. You very much owe it to your clients, your future clients, to take your PLT seriously. And it's like anything in life, the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. And all those skills will be very, very important down the track. So it is important that you're putting that time into it and obtaining those skills for your future clients. So to break down what you do for PLT, it's very much divided into three separate areas. So what we need to see, and this is what I say to students on their first day of PLT. Okay, imagine your name in the College of Law system with 3 check boxes underneath. One is coursework, one is work experience, and one is CPE, continuing professional. Sorry, I've lost the chat box. I'll just pop that up so I can see. Anita, if you can see the chat, I keep losing it. Feel free to jump on and let me know if there's any questions in there as well. What we need to do is you need to, by the end of your course completion date or shortly thereafter, you need to have ticked off your coursework, ticked off your work experience, and ticked off your CPE. So what I might do is talk about all those 3 components. So the first one is, of course, the coursework. And as I said before, you'll either do that full-time or part-time with us. And what a lot of students are asking, well, they ask it all the time, but where they're especially asking it now as we're sitting around looking for things to do, is when can I start? Can I start now? So if you have completed all of your Priestley 11 core subjects and have no more than 2 electives remaining, and one time I did get a question, oh, I've got 3, is that okay? No, 3 is more than 2. It's a very strict rule that the admitting body, well, actually it's the LAC, it's the Legal Admissions Consultative Committee, which is committee of judges and former judges that oversee all PLT providers Australia-wide. So this is their rule, not the College of Law rule. If you've got no more than 2 electives remaining, you can ask special permission from your admitting body. So in Queensland, it's the Queensland Legal Practitioners Admissions Board, as part of QLS, and ask if you can start PLT early. It's an online form, and you usually get the okay back pretty quickly if you meet the criteria. I think it's like 3 or 4 or 5 days. So essentially a week or so before PLT, and then you can enroll in the PLT course. So if you are, I've got only 2 electives left for next semester and you're thinking about maybe doing something else to keep yourself busy, you can certainly apply for that permission and come in early. But there hasn't been a change of that rule. It will still stand. So 15 weeks for full-timers and then 30 weeks for part-timers is the coursework. As I said before, usually week 1 is a full-time week. It's the same for full-time or part-timers. So part-timers will still come and do a full-time week, face-to-face, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 at the College of Law. We do have some other regional courses where in Rockhampton and Cairns and Townsville around the place, but most of you, I'm assuming, will be in Brisbane. You'll come into the College of Law on Ann Street, right near King George Square, and you'll do that course with us Monday through Friday. However, if you're going to be starting in the next couple of months, so we've got some May intakes and some June and some July intakes, those ones will be running completely online. So how that will work is that you still have to give us your attention 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So it's not something you can do, like work on one screen and be doing PLT and be doing the same. You have to clear out your schedule and clear out your other things in your life between 9 and 5, Monday to Friday, exactly like you would have been doing if you were coming into college. You won't be online the whole time. It will be in a Zoom situation very similar to this, where you'll be coming and going. So we'll meet, there'll be a workshop, it'll be interactive. You will have to contribute and to the group as well. And then you might go away, do some work, and then come back. And so you'll be in and out of the actual online session throughout the day, but you'll have stuff to do in between that. So you very much have to be present 9 to 5. However, you'll be doing it from home. So if you happen to be outside of Brisbane at the moment, you know, you've gone home to be with your parents on the coast or whatever it is for this time, as long as you've got an internet connection, you can be doing your PLT from anywhere at the moment. And very much under normal circumstances, apart from that first week, the same thing applies. Once you've got past your lawyer skills week, you can be doing that from anywhere. So here's the subjects that you'll complete. You can see the compulsory subjects. So those are, everyone does those subjects, and then you'll choose 2 elective subjects. Now, if you are self-funded and doing PLT yourself, you'll get to choose whatever you want. If you do end up working for one of the top tier firms, so most of the top tier firms or the Eagle Street firms do our program as sort of combined into their graduate program. So Anita's one of the lecturers that looks up after one of those groups, for example. So she manages the Hopwood Gannon group, for example. What's the, I can't remember what's the other group you had.
DLA Piper, Holden Redlick, and I've worked with and for most of them anyway.
Yeah,
as part of the program. Yeah.
So let's just say you're in the Hopwood Gannon group. You'll have Anita, and she used to work there, so she knows everyone. So Anita actually will go down to the firm and run that lawyer skills week often at the firm. Sometimes they do come to us, but the firm is paying for the PLT, and they'll usually pick the electives as well. And I think what a lot of them say is that, so for example, they might say, oh, you have to do administrative law, and then you can pick your second one, but we don't do crim, we don't do family, and we don't do wills and estates, for example. So you can't pick that one, but you could pick banking, you could pick consumer, you could pick employment, depending on what area you're thinking you want to work in. And often those firms will rotate you through different departments as well, so that's great. So If you're self-funded, you'll get to choose. Now, if you, the great thing is, say you don't think you're going into family and you don't pick family, but then you end up there down the track, you can, of course, still practice in that area. You can practice in all areas of law, and you might like to come back to the college to do our master's program. So we've got a very, very, very practical master's program that was developed for the profession, by the profession, basically. And if you've done PLT with us, an 8 subjects masters, we will give you credits for 2 of those subjects because you did PLT with us. And so an 8 subject masters is all of a sudden 6 subjects, and you can do that pretty easily, 1 subject at a time in a year and a half. And that's something that some people think about, maybe 3 to 5 on average statistics. Some people do it 1 year, some people do it 20 years, whatever. But usually 3 to 5 years is about the average. People start thinking about what's the next step. So you can come back to us and go, right, now I've decided to specialise in family or wills and estates, whatever area it is, and I'd like to do some further subjects or further study in that area. So that's good news there. A lot of people shudder when you say it at this stage, but it will be something that you'll think about down the track potentially. So this is what our first online on-site looked like. This is our Western Australia group. And I think you can see, I think the top right-hand corner might have been actually at the College of Law in Western Australia, but you can see all the students there very busily taking notes and thinking and being engaged. And I like old mate down the bottom, he's got his tie on. I think that's gorgeous. Someone's got his suspenders on, but they're all there attending class, looking very diligent. So we're yet to have a group we had sort of our big rush in Queensland, and then we've got some groups starting next month. So we're very much looking forward to this new teaching experience. Are you looking forward to it, Anita?
I am. It is always nice to try and do things in a different way. So I think the skills workshops are fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that translates to the online environment. But from reports from everyone around the country, it seems to work really well.
Yeah, I think we've been getting some very good feedback from the students who have done it so far. So that's good as well. And of course, we're really lucky. We can watch what the other states are doing, and then we can refine it even more for Queensland. So we're letting them iron out all the kinks. So we think we're pretty lucky. Now I might flip to Anita. Anita, yes. These are those new slides that we've just put into this presentation that we thought was quite interesting. So would you like to explain to everyone what's going on here?
Okay, so what you're looking at there is the front page of the front page of task 1 in the civil litigation subject. So your PLT is divided into a number of different subjects. One of those is the skills week, which is the first week that we do. And then everything else is online, and you go through ethics and professional responsibility, civil litigation, property, commercial and corporate, and then your 2 elective subjects. And so this is the first task in civil litigation. Each of those subjects are divided into a number of tasks, and they build upon each other basically. And they're common steps that you would find in the kinds of work that an entry-level lawyer would be doing in that particular practice area. So here, civil litigation, as a junior lawyer in a firm, you're likely to have the job of doing the first draft of some simple statements of claim, for example. And part of that is working out what you have to prove to the court, what information you have from your client about how you're going to prove that, advising your client about the best steps to take, and that's not necessarily going to court, and then actually drafting those court documents to get that litigation process underway. And so those 3 steps form task 1. And you go through those. So we go through how are we going to think about how we're going to prove these things, how are we going to advise our client, and then how are we going to draft those court documents. And so for each of those activities within that task, you will be given a file. You will hand in your attempt at applying those facts that you have from your file to the templates that we give you, and then you will hand it in, and then someone like me on the other end will read it, make some comments. Yes, you did this really well. Oops, actually, I don't think that's the right way you should go, and those sorts of things, so that you can then apply the feedback that I've given you to either submit a better attempt. So if it's not quite to the level we'd expect of an entry-level lawyer, we send it back and you get another go to do it. And we keep doing that until it is at the level that we would expect. Or you can just have a look at the feedback and the information I've given you as you revise to sit your assessment. So you can see down the bottom of this screen, there's those blue buttons, the overview materials, activity 1.1, activity 1.2, and activity 1.3. So those are all hyperlinks, and the overview materials are the resources you might need to use across the entire task. And if you go into each of those activities subsequently, you'll find resources which are specifically tailored to help you with that activity. So it might be a template, it might be links to relevant court websites, it might be links to the sections of the textbooks that we put together as the lecturers at the college. We put together and edit and revise what we call the practice papers, which are practical steps on how to apply the law knowledge, the theory that you have, to the practice of law. So we'll direct you to the relevant parts of those textbooks to help you get a foot in. So that's basically how that part of it works. Do you need anything else from me at this point, Jacqui?
That looks good. So I'm just replying to someone in the message area.
Yes.
I'm multitasking. No, that's good. What I might do is flick to the next slide. What's happening? What's happening here?
So this is one of the letters of advice in the civil litigation subject. So you can see that the student here has, whoa.
Oh, sorry.
What's going on?
Sorry, I'm trying to find the chat box and move the slides.
So you can see here the student has written their draft letter of advice, and then the lecturer, you can see the comment bubbles on the side, has come in and made a couple of comments. So theoretically that's true, but you should have a think about this. And so you can see that those bubbles on the side relate to specific paragraphs in the letter. So on the screen you can see, oh, the lecturer's made a comment about this, what have they said? And so you can stop and think about and start to apply what they have said there. Now, quite often, lecturers all have different styles. I use a combination of those text comments, and I'll also add a general comment in that assignment comment box on the very right-hand side of the screen. You might just be able to see. And I usually also include an audio recording where I've gone through what the key things you should have thought about and the key things you should have taken away from the activity, which I give you a link to so you can go and access it and listen to it and think about it in your own time. And the reason I do that is that sometimes you might make a random decision and get the right answer without me necessarily understanding that you've come about it in the wrong way or for the wrong reasons or just purely by chance. And so I talk through some of the things that you should have been thinking about so that you can then assess your own performance and why you made the decisions you made and whether you got there in the way of thinking like a lawyer that you need to start to develop. So you can also see at the very, towards the top right of that screen, there's a submission to view. So you can see there that you might not be able to see actually, there's a drop-down box. And so this student has actually submitted this activity a couple of times. So this is not their first attempt. They've had another go at it. And then the lecturer has another read of it.
And this is all marked satisfactory and non-satisfactory.
That's right. That's right. So effectively, all of these activities are on a pass-fail basis. We say complete or not yet complete, so competent or not yet competent. And that's because these are formative rather than summative. So that means that whilst you have to do these and pass these activities in order to sit your assessment, you don't actually get a grade for this activity itself. It's designed to help you study. The concept's like coaching to competence. So you're given the resources, you have a go, you get some feedback. You might have another go, or it might just be for you to think about and consider and apply as you revise for your assessment. And then once all of those activities are a competent standard, then you will sit the oral assessment.
And the oral assessment is very much like this. You'll be screen to screen with someone like Anita, and she'll be asking you questions about your learnings throughout throughout that subject, asking you questions. The questions are all based on the work that you've done.
Absolutely.
No surprises there. And we're actually going to share Anita's screen after the slides, and she'll be able to show you all the resources that are there. So one of the great pieces of news that students quite like when I'm talking to them, Anita, is that you don't have to go and buy textbooks.
You do not.
It is not like university once you've paid your big subject fee and then you have to trot down to the bookstore. I don't know if you still actually physically go there anymore.
No, the Co-op bookstore went into liquidation. I'm sorry.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was at university in the 90s. It was a very long time ago. But you do have to go and purchase textbooks, and you know there's a cost to that. You don't. We give you practice papers. The practice papers are all online, and we also give you links to all the information. So there's no additional materials that you have to get other than just having your computer and your internet connection. So it is all provided. Oh, Michelle was just going to ask that. She said, well, I must be psychically connected to you, Michelle.
So we edit those every single year. It is one of my most favourite jobs. That's slightly sarcastic. It is incredibly time consuming.
I know the truth.
Yes. So I know what resources are in those materials, and I know what you can get out of reading them, and it is a lot. It really is a lot. Some of my colleagues who have been in practice for quite a number of years, as I'm sure you can imagine, still ask me occasionally if they can have my old version of the textbooks, because they are a great starting point for areas of law that they don't necessarily practice in every day, and it just helps them get an idea around what they need to know.
Well, I talk to grads all the time that I bump into at events, and they go, oh, I love the College of Law practice papers. I've got them. I might not have my uni textbooks anymore, but I've got those. They're in my office, and I do refer to them, not all the time, but quite regularly. So they are a resource that you'll use as a lawyer.
Yeah, and so you have those currently in hard copy for the core subjects, as well as all of the subjects online in the resources through the learning portal, and a PDF which you can download and you can annotate on your iPad, or you can print out relevant parts, or however you like to learn. They are there for you to use as a resource.
Yeah, they're a great resource. Okay, I think we've got one more slide. And what's happening here? It looks very exciting.
Well, this is a demonstration on how to appear in court, actually. So in the Skills Week, we practice a lot of the practical application of being a lawyer. So we do things like how to interview clients, and you practice interviewing clients with your colleagues, and we talk through how to make an ethical decision, and how to weigh up your personal values and your professional rules, and which one needs to take priority. We talk through a lot of things like risk management, time management, well-being, and this is actually part of the advocacy workshop, which goes across 2 days. And in that we talk about how to actually appear in court. So where you stand, how you dress, how you address the judge, how you address your colleagues, how to actually start preparing your argument, how to prepare a trial, and we run a trial. So you can start practicing examination in chief and cross-examination and the rules of evidence. And we also, so here, part 1, how to mention your matter and announce your appearance. So that's at the very start. You're in a courtroom, you're before the judge. The judge might know who you are. They see a lot of lawyers, especially in the lower courts. And so you need to let the court know who you are, what you're there for, and there's a particular way that you do it. So we go through that process and we practice it, so that, as I say, if nothing else, the first time you walk into a courtroom, you should know where to stand and how to actually start your matter. And that is 30 seconds of knowledge, which gets you out of that first horrible nervous section, so that you can go on and actually do the job for the client. And so we go through all of that, and this is in the resources on the learning portal. There's those videos, demonstrations, so that you can watch it to help build your knowledge and skills and confidence.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, when we're on campus at the College of Law, I love talking to people at the end of Thursday, and a lot of them will say, oh, I was a little bit worried about the advocacy because we didn't do that at uni, but I really, really liked it. And actually, I think I might want to go to court now. So people go from being nervous to being quite confident by the end of that second day. It's actually quite interesting to see that transition. And there'll be some people that it's not for them, and they'll work in other areas of law, but there'll be lots of people that it actually spurs them to thinking about, oh yeah, well, I might actually, you know, want to go for some roles that I will be appearing in court. But it's a safe way to practice that, and you know, you can make your mistakes there and have support and encouragement to do it the right way. So it certainly set you up in good stead there. Okay, so if anyone has any questions about the coursework, pop it in. But what I might do is move on to the second part of the presentation, and we can have questions at the end as well, which is about the work experience. So I mentioned that part one that you have to tick off is that coursework, and Anita will show you a little bit more in a minute, but the work experience is the second criteria that you'll have to complete. Now, we have two formats. There's the short format and the standard format. Now, the short, actually, I like to talk about the standard format first. The standard format is 75 days of work experience, and you also then do a reflective journal on just the last 15 days. So not the whole 75, the last 15. Now, this is exciting news for some of you. 60 out of those 75 days can be done in the 2 years before you start PLT. So one of you is having a chat to me that you're thinking about starting in June. And so what you would do is you would look back to June 2018 all the way through to June 2020. And if you can find 60 days of legal work experience that meets the criteria, you can count that towards your 75 days. It does not have to be at the same employer. It can be at different employers. You just will need to do a set of approval forms for each employer and get signed off by the person who supervised you at that place. So the last 15 days have to be done during or in the 2 years after your coursework's completed. Now, just to address that, a lot of places are not taking on people at the moment, or they're reducing the staff that they have. Don't worry. We are actually going to do another webinar about this. Legal jobs are always going to be there. You've got plenty of time. So if you're not able to find work experience just while the world shut down for COVID-19, that's fine. You have plenty of time. So even if you were doing your your practical legal training coursework from, say, June onwards, May or June, you get that all finished, things open up, you go for jobs, you've actually got another 2 years. So you can look back 2 years previously to see if you can find some of those days if you're doing the standard format, but then your final 15, you've got another 2 years. So you'll definitely get that done in that time, I would think. So if you're not finding work at the moment, just don't worry. People are still recruiting. There will still be legal jobs. And in some areas, they're actually really, really busy at the moment. So law is luckily one of those professions that's always required. So, for example, in property, there might not be that many property deals happening at the moment. But, you know, people are actually, I've got a friend whose son works in loans for, like he's a loan broker for boats and houses and boats and cars actually, and he's actually busier than he's ever been. So maybe you know, bigger transactions aren't happening, but they certainly, as soon as we get back to somewhat normal, will happen again, and then the work will pick up for lawyers. So lawyers are needed in pretty much anything that happens in the world on a substantial scale. Lawyers are needed, so the work's going to be there even if it's not there right now. So I just want to, I guess the bottom line there is, don't stress about it. You've got enough to worry about at the moment, but control what you can control, and then worry about your work experience later on if that's the situation you're in. And we are actually, I'm talking to your executive about running a webinar on that topic, so we'll get back to that. Okay, so standard is up to 60 days can be done 2 years prior to PLT. 15 days has to be done during or after PLT, and you do have another 2 years in which to complete all of those 75 days. The short format, if you would choose to do that one, it's 15 days of work experience. Now, much like the standard format, that 15 days has to be done during or after, so you can't be doing that now anyway. And you then also do an extra subject called the clinical experience module. So there's an extra cost to that. It is $1,500. So as I say to students, we would rather you have your $1,500 and maybe go on a fun trip or buy some shoes or whatever you want to do with it, rather than give it to College of Law. So if you can get the 75 days done, that'll save you a bit of money, but that option is there for you. And then that might be an announcement around that shortly as well, but it's still going through the process, so we can't say too much, but those are the two options. Now, work experience, what counts as work experience? Well, you can, if you've done a summer clerkship, paralegal work, volunteering at a community legal centre, placement with legal age, organisations with in-house, tax or legal divisions of a chartered accounting firm, government policy and planning. A lot of UQ students do the Judges Associate position, so that would count as well. Working with barristers, working in government or semi-government departments, or assisting tribunal members. And we've actually just brought out a remote supervision form as well, and some guidelines. If you are currently working and would like that counted towards your PLT, there is special forms to be able to record how you were supervised in the work that you were doing during this remote situation. However, saying that, we actually do have, maybe not a huge number, but there are certainly PLT students in sort of the normal run of things that do work remotely as well. And law is actually something that is starting to be a bit, there's lots of new law firms starting up. I know there's firms, there's one lady, she has a family law business in Brisbane, and she has a couple of, like one person that works central Queensland somewhere, like back of Whoop Whoop. I think one of her staff members was moving to Canada, so she kept working for her, and she loved it because she could turn around the work in 2 different time zones. So it was great. You know, the lady in Canada was doing work through the night, and then she could have that back to the client really early the next morning. So it actually made them look amazing. So yeah, certainly working virtually is certainly something that's happening more and more in law anyway, and this is probably going to spur it along at a faster rate anyway. So if you have done some work experience and you'd like that counted towards your PLT, you can get those forms in straight away. So you have to do, for each employer, an application for approval form. So these are all available on our website at collaw.edu.au/PLT. And you do the approval form and you sign it, your supervisor signs it. It's basically saying, hey, college, this is the work experience I'm going to be doing and this is who I'm going to be supervised by. When you finish that placement, so say you had 20 days over summer, you can actually retrospectively go and do the application for approval form. At the same time you do the declaration form, you're signing it, your supervisor is signing it to say, hey, college, we finished. And the supervisor is saying that this person has, the work experience has met the rules. You don't have to detail what you did or how many, 6 minutes here and 6 minutes there. We're looking to see that you've had contact with clients, you've used a file management system, you've drafted documents, and you've, what's the other one? Oh, done legal research. So those are the main things. And the supervisor is signing to say, yes, this person meets the criteria and I vouch for them to be admitted to the profession when that time comes. It does have to be the same person because it's the person signing off, not the organisation. But if you were like, oh, okay, well, I did however many days across summer or recently, I might put those on file with the College of Law. Take the time to go and do that. Get all those forms done now. You can send them into college and then they're sitting on your profile waiting. So I just saw one girl got signed off this week and she had 3, she's done 24 days here, 24 days somewhere else, and 27 days somewhere before, and then the last 15, well, the last 24 were while she was doing her PLT. So 3 different employers and she got to 75 days, whereas some people might just have the same employer the whole time. So it's up to you. Okay, so I've lost my chat box again. There it is. Does anyone have any questions about the work experience? I'll give you a big presentation on this So I guess the bottom line is don't stress too much if you're not working at the moment. That's all good. You've got heaps of time. But if you have done some, you might want to put it on file. And if you are in your earlier years of study, you might like to think about getting some work experience for those last 2 years. Unfortunately, if it goes over that time, it can't be counted, but it's all good for your resume. So here's some tips for fast tracking. You can sorry, I'm trying to get the chat box up and I keep losing stuff. Secure work experience in the final 2 years of study. Now, if you do take a gap year, remember that that'll knock off some of your work experience as well. Register any previous work experience you've done. You can be doing that now. Consider the short format if that suits your arrangement as well. 5 reasons to choose practical legal training at the College of Law. Other than that, Anita and I are just fabulous and you want to come and hang out with us. You've got study freedom. At the moment, it's all online, but other than that, as long as you've got internet connection, you can study where you want, or when you want, how you want, around your life. So it is very flexible. Also, something that we'll mention is if you are having to go to court or a big case comes up and it's interfering with getting an assignment done, it's not the first time this has happened. You just need to communicate with your lecturers and say, hey, Anita, if she's your lecturer, don't say, hey, Anita, if she's not. If she's not, you'll go to your actual lecturer and say, got pulled into court today. Is it possible for just have a little bit more time for this? And then she'll say, okay, how about another 24 hours or whatever the situation is. So they're very flexible and we are aware that you'll be busy in those roles, but you do also need to manage your time wisely as well. Very hands-on learning. So as Anita has discussed, you'll be up on your feet, you'll be practicing, you'll be advocating, you'll be doing some mediation, very, very hands-on practical learning. We've got really good lecturer support as well. We've got some amazing lecturers. We've got full-time lecturers like Anita who have been lawyers before, still maintain practicing certificates and are now full-time lecturers with us, but we do also have some adjunct lecturers as well who are still barristers, who are still practitioners, who are still out there in the profession in all sorts of really interesting jobs actually, and this is their way of giving back to the next generation of lawyers. So you'll have a mix of people and also very small student to lecturer numbers as well. We're very aligned with the legal industry, as I mentioned before. All the big firms, if you end up at one of the Eagle Street firms, you will definitely be doing College of Law. And I know that a lot of UQ students do end up there. Yeah, we basically are, our whole business is to train lawyers, 100%. We don't do undergraduate degrees, but we do practical legal training to take you from law graduates through to the profession. Then we do your CPD, so your continuing professional development. We also do master's programs. We also do the legal practice management project, which is a program which is what you need to have to be able to hang out your own shingle and have your own practice or become a partner. So we'll take you from PLT all the way through your career, and our whole job, our whole reason for existing is to train lawyers. So we're very aligned with the industry and we can react very quickly to their needs. And yeah, we're there for you at every stage of your career. We also have more than 15 start dates in Queensland. And the great thing at the moment is if the Brisbane dates don't quite work for you and you want to go in one of the regional groups, then you can basically go in any group that you want at the moment because it's all online. You won't have to go to Cairns for their on-site. So it's very, very flexible, very, very practical with some great resources and some amazing lecturers. Here's the dates coming up. Oh, that's the regional dates. And other places, full-time, that's part-time. But here's our Brisbane date. Oh, these are not my updated slides. I must have grabbed the wrong one. Sorry, guys. I will update this and send it to you. But actually, we've just pretty much from last Friday confirmed another, is it the 18th or the 25th of May, Anita? 18th of May, that's right. There's one more full-time course that has been popped in there due to demand. So how it will work is on the 11th of May, there'll be a part-time course. On the 15th of, the 18th of May, there'll be another full-time course. And then on the 15th of June, there'll be another full-time. And then 20th of July, there'll be another couple more full-time and part-time. So we've just snuck one more in there, and that's not up on our website yet, but it's just getting a final sign-off, and it should be up there in the next couple of days. So if you are interested in full-time mid-May, then that there's some good news for you. But certainly I know that a lot of students who are finishing their pre-C 11 at the moment are interested in that 15th of June. So numbers are capped, but that number's quite big, isn't it, Anita? So I don't think we've ever turned anyone away, even when we're on site. We usually just have bring in one of the adjuncts and add another group. So you won't miss out. If you do have to go and get your permission from like after exam. So if you want to talk about your unique situation, drop me an email. We can make a time to chat. I've got another presentation with Griffith later today, but after that I can be with you. Oh, where's our CPD bit? I think I've grabbed the wrong slides. So CPD is the third component, and basically what you're doing is you can either do our business skills modules, which will give you an extra certificate. So that's our legal business skills modules. You do all 10, that signs off your CPD component, and then you get an extra certificate. It's called the legal business skills certificate. If you are working, you can do if you're doing CPD for work, that'll count towards your PLT, or you might come to go to some District Law Association events or QLS events or College of Law events, so that all counts as well. So that's the third component. Basically, here's some of our grads saying that it was a very practical course and that it set them up in good stead for their legal careers. Now that's my details. So I'd really love it if you all connected with me on LinkedIn and we can stay in touch. We're doing so many webinars at the moment, College of Law, and I'm popping them all up on my LinkedIn. I am feeding them through to you guys as well, but if you want to get the information straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, link with me on LinkedIn. There's my email, jowen@collaw.edu.au, and with the magic of technology, I'm still available on my office number. The College of Law also has a student enrolments team. They're available at enrolments.collaw.edu.au on or 1300 856 111. They're still all working from home, but magic of technology, again, you can speak to them directly. And I'd encourage you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think there's another one. What's the other one that we do?
Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Instagram. Yeah. LinkedIn, we're on Instagram. We've just got onto Instagram as well. Okay, well, what I might do is just stop sharing this lot of slides. And
now, there is a question, Jacqui.
Yes.
Can we change from full-time to part-time after the course commences?
Yes, you can, Yolanda. Full-time, part-time. You can't go part-time to full-time as easily because you would have fallen behind. You might have to wait for another course. You have got to the Friday of that first week to change with no fee, but if you get a couple of weeks in and you're struggling, you want to drop down to the part-time course behind you, you can. There potentially may be a fee to do that, but it is. I would suggest that if you are working, you should choose the part-time course.
I would absolutely second that.
Yeah. But yeah, you can. If you're struggling at all, reach out to our student services team, reach out to your lecturers, reach out to our College of Law support team, Queensland support team as well. And don't struggle. Talk to us and see what we can do to help you, because there's always something that can happen. All right. Well, Anita, do you want to share your screen?
Yes, I would love to. Just let me figure out which screen I'm sharing.
I think Anita might win the prize for the neatest office. I think it's even neater than your College of Law office, Anita.
I haven't had a chance to make it too messy yet.
Okay. Or did you just tidy up that corner?
Look, there is mess that you can't see, but there's not too much, I have to say.
You don't want to see the floor in this office either. It's got stuff all over it.
All right. Okay, so you should be able to see,
Yes.
I hope you can see, you should be able to see a learning portal. Jacqui?
Yes, I can see it.
Fabulous. Just checking that I've done the right thing and I'm not showing you my email. So here is, this is civil litigation. This is what I call the landing page. So it's the first page in the subject. You can see that the screen is divided up into a number of different things. So down the left-hand side, we have this blue menu bar, which would take you all kinds of places. So for example, if I go to dashboard, it's not going to work because I'm in student view. It will take me to all of the subjects that I'm enrolled in, and I'll be able to click into those. Here is our menu for our learning portal. So here is our home, and this is everything. Now you can see at the top here, we have recent announcements. So this is about civil litigation task 2. So here's some tips and tricks that you might need to know as you go in, and that's something that I have sent to my students. Or if you wanted to go and find all of the announcements that have been made in that group, there's the announcements tab, and that would take you to all of the things that have been sent. Here is a little bit about the subject. So this is your learning objective, really. You might be used to those from your undergraduate study at UQ. And these are the things that you're going to learn in the subject overall. And here are our tasks. So these are all hyperlinked. Now down the bottom, it talks about how you're going to be assessed. So you need to complete each task to a competence standard. So that's what we talked about before, the pass-fail, and get more than 50% in a multiple choice test. Now that's something you can do as often as you like. And I actually recommend that students use it as a learning tool to test their knowledge at various points. And it is a really, really good revision tool going into the assessment. And then the final assessment is an oral assessment, including a reflection on your learning. Now, I think this is easy marks. What did you like about the subject? What can you use in your daily practice? Is this a practice area you might like to consider working in? Why or why not? And what would you rather never have to do again in your professional life if you can possibly help it? And in that component of the assessment, we're not looking for a specific answer. What we're really looking for is the justification and the reasons behind it. So I am absolutely happy for you to say things like, I hated this subject. I will not work in this subject area for love nor money ever. Because, but it's really what comes after that, because that's the important part. And I think that's absolutely easy marks for you. It does require you to think a little bit about your own skills and strengths and weaknesses and how you might be able to build upon those in your career. And we'll talk about the tasks that you've submitted and the learning materials you've been directed to. So everything you're assessed on is actually in the learning portal. You have access to all of that. And if you have actually put in the work as recommended for all of those tasks, the oral assessment shouldn't be a surprise in any way, shape or form. Generally speaking, we are not setting questions or trying to trick you. So I know sometimes in your undergraduate degree, lecturers like to set some of those tricky questions which turn on a particular turn of phrase or a particular obscure reference they may have made sometimes. We don't do that. We really are coaching you to be able to succeed in the kind of task that you're going to be doing in your career, at the early stages of your career. So you can always have a look at the guide to the oral assessment. And so that takes you through, if you're worried about it, because it is a different way to study and to be assessed, talks you through how long it's going to take. So about 40 minutes by web conference. It's going to be an assessor who may or may not be your lecturer. So I am an online lecturer and I give that feedback that we mentioned earlier before, but I also run the oral assessments as well as teach in those skills weeks. So you might see me in the skills week, you might see me online in the feedback, you might see me in the oral assessment, or you might see me at all three of those. And we have a number of lecturers who do that. And then there is a demonstration. So you can actually see how it is designed to look. Now it is our Chief Academic Officer and one of our lecturers, Assistant Director now in Sydney, who are, obviously it's not a real assessment. We can't show you a real assessment. That would be a breach of privacy. And I'm sure you'd prefer not to have the risk of us showing your assessment to future students. So it's them going through how it is supposed to look. And you'll see there is also a rubric for every assessment. So you can have a look at what we're looking for, how the marks are allocated, and what sort of answers we'll be looking for each of those different stages. So there's a big difference between a pass and a high distinction. You know, we're looking for cases and section numbers and detailed, comprehensive answers to be in the high distinction category. And the pass category is not as many of those sorts of things. You know, the answer's correct, but can't really explain it, don't have the sections, the rules, those sorts of things. So all of that information is there for you from the very beginning. Now, if we go into, let's jump into task 1. And you'll see here, we'll take you into activity 1.1. So we have the file, which you download, and that's a PDF, and that has all of the information you need to complete it. You have a template. So here is a document to help you set out and structure your answer. And you have some resources. So the how-to, for example, here's some notes. So about the proof-making model, which is just a way to help you start dividing up what you need to prove, how you're going to prove it, and who you're going to use to prove that information to the court. And here is the link to the practice papers we mentioned before. So we can click on that and it will open up. And here we have our text. And we can just go through and find that specific section that was mentioned. And we could annotate this if we had it on our iPad or tablet with our stylus, or if you want to highlight and make notes. However you use those, you're welcome to do it. We also have this case study, and that actually goes through, it's an online quiz, another really good, useful learning tool and an excellent revision tool again, which takes you through how to actually go through this process using a different fact scenario so that you can practice and build your skills before you actually do the work that you hand in for someone like me to review. So there's all kinds of ways to navigate this. You can just keep clicking the next button down the bottom, or you can click through the various buttons, for example. We then go to submit our work, and there's just a button, click submit, and then you upload your documents. Really, really easy. I'm sure you've done it 1,000 times before. And we just choose our file and add it in. The system should automatically append all of your information, so you don't need to name it anything particularly fancy, but I do recommend that you name it something that makes sense and is consistent to you, just in case it doesn't load in the system for whatever reason. It doesn't happen very often, but very occasionally something goes wrong in the process. So you can see the due date there. There's no points ascribed because you're not actually getting marks for it. We submit our assignment. It comes to me. And then, I can't show you that at the moment. Then I make those comments that we saw before with the bubbles or the link to the audio file, and you will get your grades, which is what you're probably most worried about. So you'll have a table that looks very much like this. So these are all of the activities that you're doing. So you can see that this student hasn't submitted anything, so it's just saying missing. But that would say competent, not yet competent, if you've handed it in and I've actually had a look at it. And then at the very end, you see the oral assessment is out of 100. So that's the mark that you're actually concerned about. And that's what will be on the grade on your transcript when you complete your graduate diploma of legal practice. Now, the conferences is where you go to do your face-to-face web oral assessment. So you'll book into a time about a week before your assessment. When it comes up to your time, you'll click into that and you'll just wait until the join button appears. The join button appears when your assessor joins, and then we'll go through this kind of process, talking to you and those bits and pieces. Your calendar actually has all of your due dates for the entire course already in it, so you can have a look at it and you can have a fairly good idea about what's coming up, what's due in, and you can plan the next 3 to 6 months of your life, depending if you're doing a full-time or part-time study. So there shouldn't be any surprises that come up for you there. If there's anything specific people want to have a look at, I'm happy to take you through it. Otherwise, Jacqui?
Is there any questions? can't see anything in the chat, but happy to take questions. Also, you've got my email address as well. I will actually also download this recording, and I'll get our team to put it on a YouTube link, and then I'll send that through to you with my contact address. Usually I do that within 24 hours, hopefully, depending on how long it takes for the link to be uploaded. So you'll have my contact details as well, but please connect with me on LinkedIn and get in touch if you do have any questions as well. So Gabby says there's nothing more that we think we need to cover. So, but definitely if there's a question there, pop it into the box. So hopefully, is there anyone thinking about, I know there's at least one of you thinking about starting mid-year, this at the moment. So we've got May dates, we've got June dates, we've got July dates, and then the good thing about college is that you don't need to wait to the next semester. We've got stuff happening all the time. So the waits between each course, I mean, even by the time we were moving home on the 20th of March, we had done full-time and a part-time in January. We did a full-time and a part-time in March, and then there was an extra combined one. So we had done 5 groups by the time it was the 20th of March, plus a lot of our little firm groups as well. So we had just done a whole bunch, and that's why there is a little break now, and then there'll be another batch online. Cool. Looks like a great course. Oh, hopefully it is, Michelle. We get good feedback. And college actually has probably nearly 60% of all Australian graduates come through the College of Law. So we are the #1 provider in Australia, and we're certainly the one that the legal profession really respects as well. I mean, you know, there are other courses out there, and they're all excellent as well. You know, they'll get you admitted, but and I don't know obviously as much about those courses, but I know that we get great feedback from our grads, and that all of them are always really super keen to come back and speak to our current students when we ask them to do that. And you know, they've got great things to say about the support they get from lecturers and how practical it is. Awesome. Michelle's got a couple more core subjects to do before she can start a PLT. Well, hopefully Michelle will be back on College of Law, because I know that the online version is going to be great and a lot of fun and a little bit different for our lecturers probably, but we just love meeting you face to face. So hopefully we'll be back on campus at the College of Law. And certainly once we are back and running, if you'd like to come in and have a look at our campus, if you haven't been to an event with us, certainly let me know. And as soon as we're open up again, we'd be glad to show you around and show you where it all happens. So when we say campus, it's basically one floor of 140 Ann Street. So it's not nearly as big as on campus at your beautiful St. Lucia campus. And Anita and I always do love coming to visit. We've got 3 classrooms and 1 hallway and a hospitality area, and that's our campus. Yep. So you cannot get lost at the College of Law Queensland campus. It's all very intimate. But certainly would be glad to have you come and have a look around. All right, well, I will love you and leave you because I've got to go and do this all again with Griffith. And it's been absolutely lovely. And I hope you're all keeping well and doing well. And if you've got any questions, let us know. Keep in touch. Follow the Law Student Society. Connect with me on LinkedIn. We've got a lot of webinars and seminars, soft skills, panel events happening. There's LinkedIn sessions, there's wellness sessions, there's like all sorts of stuff happening through College of Law Queensland, but all the states are doing stuff. And so because it's all online, we're sharing those with all universities. So it's absolutely great that you can pick and choose what you want to tune into and listen to, and they're all just on online webinars. And if you go, oh, that's a really good thing, I'd really love to learn about LinkedIn, for example, but you know, I've got a lecture at that time, you can, as long as you register for the event, you'll get the recording afterwards. So it is a great opportunity to sort of tuning in and using this time to spruce up your resume and your LinkedIn profile and get prepared for when the world opens up again and there will be more opportunities. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you at another one of our webinars. Thanks, Anita. Thanks, Gabby and Michelle, for getting things organised, and I will look forward to chatting to you all soon. Have a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye.